Flash Gordon cliffhanger. And it was an example, a good example, because you had those toenails, sort of, just
literal toenails.
Yeah, I love those toenails. That's me. Any questions? Yeah, please.
Where did you get your inspiration to write the book?
I got the inspiration from the photos themselves. I knew I wanted to do something with them, and that the story would have to revolve around them. So I stared at them a lot until something started to come to me about strange children. And the rest, I don't know, my weird subconscious.
Okay.
Oh, crap. I think my favorite book is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I like Cormac McCarthy a lot, and The Road is just, it's the only book I've ever read in a single day.
I love that. I love that book, but I haven't read anything more of him. What other book would I take? Would you recommend after the Road?
After The Road. If you want to go really dark, you could read Blood Meridian.
Oh, I have that at home. Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's crazy.
And I wondering, what was your strongest feeling when you wrote the book? Like, was you scared for one scene or one other? Was you happy, sad?
I was happy when I finished it. But no, I was. I don't know. It was a long time ago. It feels like it was. It wasn't actually. But there were scenes that I feel like I had been there. There's a scene where Jacob and Emma are diving into this old shipwreck, and they see these bioluminescent fish in the dark hold of this cargo hold in a ship underwater at night, and they're lighting up like the stars or something. And that actually happened to me. I was diving in the South Pacific, and we went into this old ship, and we had to like be very quiet and turn off our lights and just wait, and these fish started to flash all around us, and it was like an acid trip or being on the moon, or it's just very, very, very strange. And I think I've never been writing and felt so much like I was channeling something that really happened to me onto the page.
That was a very beautiful scene. It was very romantic.
Thank you. Steamy passion. It's not what I'm known for, but maybe I'll write a romance novel next.
Yes, where do you find all the pictures? I mean, do you find it on the internet, or you like Yale yards or something?
Yeah, like it started out like at flea markets and what we call swap meets.
Okay.
Big tents and just vendors who bring, piles of old stuff. And then when I found a certain number of them, and I knew there were more, but it took forever to find the ones I had, I found people who collected them for years and years and let me come and look through their stuff. And so I think more than half the pictures in here are owned by like serious collectors of other people's old snapshots. Which it was very cool for them to, very generous of them to let me use their stuff.
Is there a character in the book that you feel isn't similar to you, or do you identify yourself with?
The old innkeeper. No. Jacob. People ask me if I wrote myself into the book through Jacob sometimes, and I mean the town he grows up in Florida is where I'm from. But I don't know, other than being like a wussy white guy from Florida. Also, I mean, the book is written in first person, so it's hard to write I, and not have some of your own voice creep into that writing, I think. So yeah, I'm sure there's some of me in there. And also an old cliche is, all fiction is autobiography, and all autobiography is fiction. So I probably told more truth about myself in this book than if I actually tried to tell my own story in a literal way.
I wonder, Jacob, he finds these children in the island, and it's in Wales. Have you been in Wales?
Years ago, just for like 2 days. So not really. I wasn't thinking like, oh, Wales. It just seemed like I chose Wales because it seemed like a place where, for Americans at least, magic could exist. Not America. America doesn't seem very magical. It seems like a place of shopping malls and I don't know.
But two kids who are not so magical are those hip hoppers that are the first youngsters that Jacob meets at the island. I really enjoyed the portrait of those hip hoppers.
Thank you. Do you want to do a little rap number?
No. This was sort of hard rock, so I can't even choose between hip hop and hard rock.
Oh, God. Anybody else?
Yeah. How do you learn how to write?
I think you just have to do it. We have to read a lot, and then imitate stuff you like until you find your own voice. I think it's true. I think that's true with all art forms. You know, if you want to play an instrument, you really like the guitar, then you start playing the guitar like your favorite guitar player, and you try to imitate things you like. And pretty soon you find that that's like the training wheels on the bike, or your dad holding the back of the bike as you're going, and then without realizing it, you're going on your own.
But I'm too lazy to read.
You're too lazy to read? And there's no one for you.
Someone else can read out loud for you.
Right, you could get books on tape, I guess. Yeah. Only if you just narrate your books out loud.
Do you have a favorite picture?
Sorry, what? Do I have a favorite photo in the book? There's one that I think that sort of like encapsulates the theme of the book, the feeling of the book. It's if I can find it. It's like the woman and the boy walking into the tunnel of light.
Oh yeah. The rite of passage. Ah, there it is.
This feels like the story sort of in one image to me.
But I think that the flowing the girl who flows in the air, she's great also.
I like her a lot too. Yeah.
Were you interested in photographs before this book? Before the idea of the book?
Yeah, definitely. I had taken a lot of photographs myself, just in an amateur way. You know, whenever I went anywhere, I would take a million photographs. And I took some photo classes in college and learned how to take black and white pictures and develop my own photos in the darkroom and stuff. And so I'd always been interested in photography. But it was cool to find like photos that I thought were beautiful and artistic, like in a junk bin for 50 cents.
So you said you didn't want to find the origin for the photographs because someone could come forward and say, hey, that's my grandmother. Have you been approached?
Marie works for the publisher.
Have you been approached by someone claiming that you have photos of that? Never.
No. I don't know. They're so old, and the people in these photos are so dead. And many of them you can't even see their faces, or they're obscured in some way. I think the chances are pretty slim.
You said this was your first book that you wrote.
Yeah.
How many versions did you write before the final version?
One.
One.
I wrote a version of the book that I threw away that was in the form of letters that Jacob was writing to a girl back home who turns out to be dead. And he was very close friends with her and hadn't gotten over her death, essentially, and hadn't been able to admit to himself that his friend was gone. And then you have to doubt his sanity and whether or not he's seeing all of these peculiar children or if he's just so distraught that he's invented them somehow. And I decided that was boring. And I didn't want to sit around doubting the peculiar children. I just wanted to go into this fantasy world and commit to it. So it was really like this Frenchy psychological, exploration of Jacob's pain, and I just wanted to have a fun adventure. So I changed it. Yes, you only get this is the last one.
What have you learned? I mean, you're writing your second novel now. What have you learned about writing from the first one?
It's not as easy as I thought it was. Something about the first one came really easily because there was no pressure and I didn't expect anyone to read it or anything. And also, when you're inventing a world, you can do whatever you want. But now I've invented all these characters and all of these rules, and there's a whole lot of things when, you know, continuing the story where, okay, there's all of these characters in every scene, and there's all of these time travel rules to remember and all of this stuff going on, and so it's like you're starting the journey of writing a story again, but you're like carrying this huge backpack full of stuff, and you've got to be like, oh yeah, that, okay, you can't just... And now you've established rules, you can't change them, because people will notice and be like, you're cheating.
So do you have,
Can't
do you
that.
have lists of all of the rules, or how do you keep them in
No, I
mind?
pretty much remember them. And I try not to get too technical with the sci-fi stuff, because I think then you're limiting your audience to only like serious nerds. So, you guys want to sign some books?
Yeah, of course.
Ooh, okay, I have this golden pen. I got especially to sign on these black pages.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.